Hey guys, welcome back. It's Missy, and today we're going to talk about how to spot a narcissist quickly. Now, oftentimes when you've been through narcissistic abuse, you've seen what narcissists are capable of, you can become terrified of the world and people. That's not a fun place to live, to always be scared of people, always trying to see, oh, is this person a narcissist? Is this person a narcissist? So we don't want to live in that state of always being fearful, insecurity, fear. We want to more so approach the world with curiosity. When I first meet someone, I know the traits to look for in narcissism. I know the unhealthy traits. I keep that in the back of my mind. But when I meet someone, I always approach them with curiosity. I want to know, I'm curious about this person. Who is this person? And then, if a red flag pops up or an unhealthy behavior, I'm like, keep note of that. And then if a few more pop up, I'm like, that's a narcissist right there. So the most important thing to understand spotting a narcissist, it's not just one trait. As we've talked about on this channel, narcissism runs on a scale. It's not just one trait that shows that a person's narcissistic. It's multiple traits together and how often these traits come out and how intense these traits are that really define a narcissist or show that this person's a narcissist or has more narcissistic tendencies, because we can't just diagnose. We can't be on the streets diagnosing people. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about 5 ways to spot it quickly, immediately. But before we get into today's video, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Missy. I'm a life and relationship coach. And on this channel, we get to the root of the issue and we learn how to heal and deal. So if that's your thing, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I would love for you to be a part of the fam. And if you already are a subscriber, I really appreciate you so much. Also, if you are interested in any of my coaching services, I will leave it down in the link below, which you can go ahead and check out. Let's get into today's video. So the first thing that's not only apparent in narcissism, but just people that are disingenuous in general, their face and body, their behavior will not be in sync with what they're saying. Narcissists are always wearing a mask. They're trying to cover up from you seeing who they are at their core. So part of their mask is they may be overly nice, overly sweet, to the point where it feels unnatural. There is such a thing as nice people, but with nice people, even them, there may be a little bit of an edge to them. They're not behaving in a way like they're trying to prove something to you. It's just a natural energy that comes from them. With narcissists, when they're overly nice and overly sweet, it feels like they're trying to convince you that they are this person. Or they'll laugh extra hard, like they're trying to convince you, like, this is so funny, look how funny I am. But they can't keep this mask on forever. If they get triggered or something negative happens, something that they don't like happens, maybe you say something they don't like, there is a small window where that mask will fall off, because at their core, narcissists are highly emotional people. They are children that are stuck in their abuse. So when something triggers them, they can't help themselves. They don't have emotional control, they don't have emotional regulation, or they have little emotional control and emotional regulation. So in between them, there's always this small window where if something negative happens or something they don't like happens, their mask falls off a little bit, and you can kind of see, it's a very small window, but you can kind of see their face change, where they truly show who they are at their core. And you'll notice, even for a second, you'll notice they'll go to this dark place. So they may have a face of contempt. Their smile will turn upside down. They'll go in their head, they'll get angry, they'll maybe get quiet for a little bit. They're dealing with a narcissistic injury at that moment. And when you first meet them, they don't want you to see all of this just yet. So they have that split second where they will show that anger, contempt, resentment, and they may even make a small little comment or something will happen and you'll see a little bit of that, and then they'll come right back. So there's that. There's also, because their face and body are not in sync with what they're saying, there'll be almost like a twitch to them. What we don't verbally say, our face and body will say it for us. It always has to come out some way. So if you pay attention to micro expressions like their lip tilting downwards when they're talking about something that's supposed to be positive, or their blinks and eye movements are not in sync with their words, like maybe subtle eye rolling or blank stares, there's always something off. It's very, very slight. There's always something off with their facial expressions and what they're trying to say. It can almost appear to be a little robotic at times. Now, this is not to get confused with someone that has something like tics or social anxiety, or they're a nervous person. Well, you can tell when it's someone who has tics because it will seem more natural rather than disingenuous. Or with someone that has social anxiety, they'll just overwhelm, be a nervous person. You can tell that. You can tell that nervous energy. Narcissists aren't nervous. They're acting. They're playing pretend. With a narcissist, it looks like they're having a battle within themselves. And because they're so disingenuous with who they're trying to show you who they are and who they actually are, their face and what they say will not look genuine. Oftentimes narcissists have this blank stare, and you may see it when you're saying something they don't like and they don't know how to deal with the information. You may see it when you're saying something personal about yourself and they have this blank stare. They don't have this empathetic like nod, really taking in what you're saying. It can appear that they're listening because they're making eye contact, but even the eye contact seems disingenuous. So pay attention if someone's trying too hard, like, it seems like they're trying to be overly nice, or it just seems like something's a little off, like their body and face isn't in sync with what they're saying. They have blank stares. Pay attention to that. That doesn't mean they're definitely a narcissist. That means there's some disingenuous behavior within them. The next thing is they will try to get you to be vulnerable very quickly. So they may try to ask the deep stuff really quickly. They'll try to maybe talk about the tough things or your traumas or your weaknesses, or they'll try to talk about very vulnerable personal things very quickly within the first couple weeks of getting to know someone. The reason why they will do this is because they're trying to figure out ways that they can manipulate you, or if you are manipulable. They can do this based on seeing your traumas, the things that you've been through. They can see your weaknesses. They can see how they can get a way in and see, even your likes, things you like, so they can become that person and get you to like them. They are mirroring you in a manipulative way. Now, it's very natural for all of us as humans to mirror each other. You mirror someone when you like them, but they're not mirroring you because they like you. They're mirroring you because they're trying to manipulate you to get you to like them, and to get you to trust them as well. So they're trying to become the person that you will like and try to make sure they don't do the things you don't like, so they can relate to you, and then they know they can control and manipulate you. Do all people who try to get you to be vulnerable quickly, does that mean they're going to manipulate you? No, some people, they just have no boundaries. They've been through their own traumas where they don't know how to slow their roll and how to have boundaries. So it doesn't always mean that. Again, like I said, it has to be multiple of these things, but in order to protect yourself from anyone that's trying to push you to be vulnerable quickly is slow your roll, and you tell things as you see fit, or as you start to build trust as time goes on. And if they don't like that, that's another sign, which that goes to the next thing, which is they will not respect your boundaries or when you say no. So when you set a boundary, that irritates them. Narcissists don't like boundaries. That means they can't control or manipulate others. They themselves don't like having boundaries, and so they expect that you also should not have any boundaries. They want the world to revolve around them and for them to be able to do whatever they want with no consequences. Boundaries, there's consequences. So when you set a boundary, which this is the biggest thing that will be a lifesaver when it comes to detecting narcissistic behavior or any behavior that you don't want to be around, is set a boundary and see how they take it. If they try to push that boundary, like, come on, let's just do it anyways, or they pretend to understand, like, oh yeah, no, that's perfectly fine, I don't want to make you uncomfortable, but then they bring it back to what they said and they try to push you to do the thing again, even though you originally said no. If they get angry and defensive, like, why can't we just do it? That doesn't make sense. Like, why is it a big deal? You're being ridiculous. You're being sensitive. What, you think that I'm a bad person? You can't trust me? You can trust me. Or they'll guilt you. They'll make you feel bad. Like, oh, everyone always does this to me. No one will hang out with me. Everyone always says no. That's how you know you're dealing with an unhealthy person in general. Narcissists are not. That is unhealthy behavior for someone to not respect your boundaries, to make you feel guilty, to make you feel bad, to make you feel like you're sensitive, or they gaslight you to make you feel like you're crazy or wrong for saying no. That's unhealthy. Anytime you set a boundary, you want people that will say, okay, no problem, it's not a big deal, we don't have to do that, or I'm okay, whatever makes you feel comfortable. That's healthy behavior. And someone that follows that word, doesn't just say it, but also follows through, doesn't try to force you to do anything that makes you uncomfortable or will go at your pace. The next sign is someone that brings the conversation always back to themselves. Now here's the thing, it's normal in conversations where when you're talking to someone, you say something, they talk about themselves, they relate it. That's normal. That's not the problem. What it really is that they don't know how to add to the conversation at all, and they're always just bringing it back to themselves or making it about them in some sort of way, or like, oh yeah, I experienced that and this is what happened to me. Or maybe they'll come from a self-righteous place, like, oh yeah, I wouldn't do things like that. So they'll always find a way to just bring the conversation always back to themselves, not validate you or talk about you in any sort of way. Or on the other spectrum, we have the altruistic or covert narcissist, where this is where you can tell how they bring it back to themselves. What they'll do is they'll try to find a way to weasel their way in by saying, oh, you should let me help you. Or, oh, are you sure you don't want me to be a part of this? They will try to involve themselves in some sort of way when it has nothing to do with them. Let's say that you're trying to plan a surprise party for your grandma, and the covert narcissist will be like, oh, do you want me to be there to help you? Like, I can definitely help you if you need help. And you'll be like, no, it's okay. But like, are you sure? Like, I definitely, like, you might need me. I might be really helpful. They keep trying to push to help or be involved in some sort of way. It's normal for people to want to help, but they'll accept the no rather than trying to continue to push their way to be involved or always making it about them in some sort of way. And this isn't just like a 1 or 2 times deal. This is like multiple times. You'll notice every time they just bring it about themselves or try to involve themselves in some sort of way. The next thing is they do not want to talk about the past or things that they do wrong. So narcissists at their core, they have a lot of deep shame and they have a lot of insecurities. And the reason why they have these masks is because they don't want anyone to see this. They don't want anyone to see the real them because they're so embarrassed and they're so shameful about who they are at their core. So they have these masks to try to protect themselves from you saying what is inside. And so because they have a lot of shame, they'll feel shameful about their past, they'll feel shameful about things that they've experienced, and they don't want to talk about the past, and they don't want to ever bring up things they've done wrong because that requires self-reflection. They don't have that self-reflection, and that requires them processing their feelings, which that's another thing they don't do. They don't process those feelings. They just stuff it deep down and don't deal with it. So they never want to bring up the past or negative things or things that they do wrong, because then they'll have to be faced with the reality. They don't live in reality, they live in delusion. So you'll hear them say things like, the past in the past, let's move forward. We don't have to focus on the past. Or, you're always dwelling on the past. Why are you always focusing on the past? Let's focus on now. Or they'll even create this delusion like, the past was great, you know, I've had a lot of great experiences, nothing wrong here. It's very shallow, surface level. They will not dive into the past. So if you want to spot a narcissist, I would definitely say pay attention to their face and body and what they're saying. Look out for those blank stares, those faces of contempt, especially if you say something to upset them or say something a little bit negative. Notice how they react to that. But even put yourself in a situation to disagree with them a little bit and see what they have to say. So if you're sensing that you may be dealing with a narcissist, disagree with them. Watch how they take that disagreement. Conflict and narcissists, that's when they really do not do well with, which is something we'll definitely talk about more in the future. But say something a little disagreeable, see how they take it. You'll see that contempt, you'll see that mask fall off a little bit, especially because it'll be taken by surprise. And it's not even just contempt. If they have like a blank stare or they don't know how to process it, then you know that's added to the list of things you could see, oh, this may be a potential narcissist. Pay attention if someone's trying to push you to get vulnerable quickly or share information or share things that are personal quickly, and see what happens when you say no or when you try to put up a boundary. That again will reveal, oh, this person may have some narcissistic tendencies. Watch how they talk. Watch if they're always bringing the conversation to themselves or they're always trying to weasel their way too much and making it about them. And see how they talk about their past. If they can admit their flaws or their mistakes or negative things that they've done, then you know. All these signs combined, the lack of self-reflection, all of these signs combined definitely point to narcissistic tendencies or someone that's more on the narcissistic side. And this is how you can see it very quickly. What I would say is you can probably see this in the first couple times you meet them or within the first month. So what do you guys think? Leave it all in the comments below, and please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share with someone that you think may need it. Until next time, thanks for watching. Bye guys. God, my knees are killing me. Ma'am, don't yell at your dog. I need to go to Crazy Town because I am crazy. What comes even out of my mouth half the time? I feel like I have a blueberry in my mouth. Okay, we're supposed to be doing our thumbnail, not whatever we're doing. Me. I think I'm on cocaine or crack or something because I am all over the place. And no, I don't drink caffeine. So, what's up? I don't know. What's happening? Maybe I'm just weird. I'm just weird.